I see the tech scene in Philadelphia right now at a big inflection point. And whatever we do in the next couple of years will define our ability to maintain it long term. We have built up a lot of momentum, but not a lot of the infrastructure to sustain that momentum. And so what the cities and local governments do, what the large corporations do, what the universities do over the next couple of years, I think will define our ability to succeed in the long term as a vibrant startup community.
Philadelphia is, in fact, the original startup city. And I want to thank Alan for taking one of my biggest lines that I was going to use this morning, which was to talk about Philadelphia being that ambitious first startup city in history. A little building about a block away behind us, of course, Independence Hall. It's where freedom, liberty, and democracy were truly created in this country, and a group of folks decided to start up this nation.
If I look at other regional communities, regional tech communities, things are good until somebody decides that they want to be more like San Francisco.
Philly is not the center of the world, and that's why I love Philly. I don't want Philly to become the center of the world, because I really feel like that can actually be really stifling.
The party gets bigger and louder, more people want to join it, and they can come and fuck up your party.
I think that more time spent figuring out what Philadelphia's strengths are is going to help shape the future. And so that's sort of what I'd like to see happen next, is more people putting time into figuring out not what should we be, but what are we already? And how do we become a better version of ourselves instead of going down the path of trying to become something that we're not?
And so that's the other thing that I think we need to do a better job of, is remembering that there's a pretty proud tradition and heritage here of building some pretty significant tech companies. And I think the other theme that sort of evolves is Philadelphia being sort of a commercialization center. You know, you think about all the different industries that are in a very short drive around here.
Pharmaceutical, healthcare, media and publishing, and more recently, e-commerce. When you think about those four industries, they all have a huge need for technology. And I think that is the reason why the Delaware Valley and the Philadelphia area has become so dominant in tech over the last 15 years. Because those industries, which Philadelphia is a leader in, to stay a leader, needs the infrastructure and needs that tech knowledge to continue to be as great as it is when it comes to those four industries.
I think that we could be kind of the center for social enterprise. So businesses that are looking for that triple bottom line, you know, serving people, you know, serving shareholders or a profit motive, but also doing the right thing and accomplishing good things in the civic space.
I'm not sure people know what it means to be authentically Philadelphian in terms of technology and business and startups and all those sorts of things. But as we uncover it, I think that's going to shape how things grow and mature in Philadelphia. I would say that we're still growing up. Like, we haven't achieved maturity yet. It's still a very young, nascent, kind of stumbly community. It's growing, but it's still got its awkward moments. It's still figuring itself out.
It's evolving, it's emerging, and that kind of fluid space is really interesting for the generation of ideas. So
our historical nature may draw people here, but it really is the excitement about the future that will keep them here and keep more coming to Philadelphia. So I travel around the country and do that a little bit from time to time. To be honest, there is a big buzz going on all across America about Philadelphia, and it's very positive. Feeling that something exciting is going on in this city, a certain sense of momentum.
There are lots of great places. We have 30-some universities in this region, maybe more. We can't expect everybody that comes from out of town is going to want to stay in Philadelphia. And I haven't seen any real data that proves that we have a brain drain problem. If you were to look up If you Google brain drain in any other major city in this country, you'll find an article that every single city thinks that they have a brain drain problem. And I don't think there's data to prove that. In fact, the data we've seen about 20 and 30 something educated young people moving back into Philadelphia, living in Center City, we've seen the increase is significant over the last decade.
In 1999, a poll was done of University of Pennsylvania students and asked how many of them would consider a career in Philadelphia after college. 35%. In 2010, that number was up to 60%. I want it to be 95%, but we're moving in the right direction.
I've seen like, Penn students, superstar engineers who could go out west, deciding instead to spend, the summer, building a startup in Philly.
I think the technology scene here in Philadelphia is hopeful because now talent that is in the amazing schools here stays here. And as talent stays here because of the community, we will see amazing things being built here.
So I want to see the universities get more involved. So I personally, we're going to run an event here for college professors. And what we want to do is we want to teach them how to teach their students about search. Because search companies like mine are hiring all the time, but the students aren't coming out with enough knowledge to have a leg up. Whereas a couple of schools like Penn State are partnered with Google. And what they're doing is that partnership is giving their kids such a leg up that when I get a Penn State kid coming in and they say, oh, I was part of the Google student program, blah, 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 I already know that quick that there are certain things that they already know about how Google works, and it gives them a leg up over Penn, Temple, Villanova, St. Joe's, you name the schools around here, Penn State kids have a leg up on them if they decided to join the Google school program, because they're actually getting to use Google's tools on the day-to-day.
Now, don't get me wrong. I really do enjoy and have a certain affection for both New York and San Francisco. Mayor Bloomberg and Mayor Lee are great friends of mine, but I'm a Philly guy. And these are our companies and our entrepreneurs, and I want them to stay right here in the city of brotherly love and sisterly affection.
Philadelphia, like any market, I think grows as their alumni grows. When I look at the Valley, Silicon Valley grows, each successful company has alumni that then get involved in other companies. And it's kind of like seeds of a tree that just keep getting, falling near that original tree. So whether it was from Fairchild Semiconductor to Intel, or whether it was from PayPal to LinkedIn or to Facebook, sort of those ecosystems grow from successful alumni. And what we're beginning to see here is Philadelphia is clearly generations, multiple several generations behind where the Valley is. But that doesn't mean that it's heading in the wrong direction. I actually think it's heading in the right direction. That, you see people like David Brusin, who was the founder of Turntide, a co-founder of Turntide, go on to co-found Monetate, which now employs 100 people in the Philadelphia ecosystem. And as Monetate grows from 100 to 200 to 500 and is very successful, you're going to see dozens of people that were early employees of Monetate go on and start their own companies. So it's a very long-term process.
Turntide was another exit that was pretty fantastic a couple of years back. That was a company that I love talking about because it was started by a bunch of people who since then have stayed in Philly and have continued starting companies in Philly. It's stories like that that end up making tech scenes grow, when people make a lot of money and then stay because it makes them both likely to take bigger shots, which leads to bigger companies, which leads to more press, and it also makes them angel investors. So I mean, they end up backing companies.
We always take money, we reinvest, we give away money from Punk Ave to things that we find interesting, projects that people are doing, like Weather Vane Music, and I look forward to having, more opportunities to invest in Philadelphia, basically.
So you have the serial entrepreneurs that are in play. You have the entrepreneurs that have been successful, that are now active angel investors and advisors with the emerging growth companies. You have the initiatives like Dream It that are really hands-on, working deeply with the companies. And like I said, you have the Philly startup leaders, which is led by, Bob Mall, who has a deep industry experience, left big industry, was working with Boomi, positioned it for a successful sale to Dell, and now has App Renaissance.
Boomi effectively is a cloud hosting solution. Boomi grew, ended up selling it to Dell. Part of Bob's sale terms was, I want to keep the company in Philadelphia. It's in the suburbs, but it's in Philadelphia.
And so in my view, we had taken the company as far as we could in the mode that we were in. We had grown it to 40 or 50 employees. In the first year with Dell, we doubled that. So there are now 85 employees, and by now there's probably even more employees. And we're creating these high-tech jobs with great benefits, with a very solid company. I tend to view it more like we've brought Dell to Philadelphia.
There are a million different things that I love about Philly, and our decision to double down here, which at the time that I wrote that post was tied directly to us knocking down the wall in our office and doubling our square footage. And it was a conscious decision that we made to say, okay, we're gonna go from about a dozen people to expanding our office space to the point where we could probably fit something on the order of 30 to 40 people here. And once we've got 30 to 40 people in a city, the idea of picking up shop and renting a U-Haul and moving the company out to another city is significantly less practical. So it's one of those things where you kind of have this moment where you need to say, are we staying here? And if we are, then we better do it as a conscious decision and not as something that just kind of organically happened and then we wake up one day and hey, we're stuck in Philadelphia, or we happen to be in Philadelphia. So we sat down and we talked about it, and we made a very conscious decision that not only were we happy to be here, but we wanted to be here for the long haul.
The issue is when a company's been in Philly for 10 years, like we have, and you're growing here and the numbers start to get big enough to where that opportunity cost is big enough where you have to ask yourself the question, is it really worth it? For us, right now it's completely worth it. I hope it continues to be worth it. But I'd also love it if the city would kind of, start to work with the companies that aren't just 1 or 2 years trying to start here and shield them from some taxes, but to start working with the companies that have been here for 10 years, because we're the ones that are adding a lot more jobs, a lot more people, a lot more growth, a lot more sustainable growth. And I'd like to see the city encourage us to stay.
So that everybody understands the importance to the future of this community of supporting young entrepreneurs, technology development, innovation. It's got to be as important as an airport or a highway or any of those other very important things that are out there.
But money, as they say, isn't everything. Although in my world it usually beats whatever's in second place. Philly entrepreneurs and startups also benefit from an incredible support network of organizations that provide business development support and opportunities for networking and collaboration, connecting those who are just getting started with those who have been around for a little while, have succeeded, and can provide mentoring and guidance. This is great work, and we want to see more of it.
I think what we have, what has been a challenge is this separation between the young emerging technology community and the established industrial sector.
I kind of feel like I fall right in the middle of that. I am not necessarily from the old school, so to speak. I'm not necessarily from the new school either. And I find myself oftentimes sort of trying to bridge those two worlds. And I think what's required is a healthy dose of mutual respect and open-mindedness in both directions.
There actually has been a lot of tension, a lot of discussion, and to be perfectly honest, a lot of disagreement about how do we build this? Do we build it grassroots? Do we build it top down? How do we take the freelance mentality and the startup, build it by your bootstraps, live on ramen until you get it right mentality with the big corporate, we need a leader, we need someone to take control. And there has been a lot of discussion, some disagreement about how that happens. My personal opinion, and the opinion of some other people is that you have to merge the two.
I think the future is young. I think the future is inspired. I think the future is hardworking, because the future has seen what has happened to their parents here. They've seen large manufacturing jobs just uprooted from the society. They have seen parents, even in the financial sector, lose everything, right? So now they are saying to themselves, we will grow quickly, we will grow bootstrapped, we will grow lean, we will grow hopefully wiser as in the way they use resources. We will grow greener, because there are a lot of people here in Philadelphia. We will grow smarter, you know. And I think that next generation has seen 401ks just lost and jobs decimated, are hungry for something else. And I think that that's the future of Philly tech. Really, that's your steel worker creating software. That's your neighborhood guy armed with the cloud.
Let's build something, because the best way to get people's attention is build something great. And that's what we've built great events. Out of those great events have come the connections and the relationships to build even greater events and build bigger and better companies. And that's what's going to let the world know what Philly has here, and that's what's going to start bringing more students here. That's what's going to keep our students here. That's what's going to keep people coming here and building tech companies and coming to work for the technology companies. And every single person that comes to Philadelphia or that gets involved with an organization here or that builds a business here helps our city. And I think that's the ultimate goal for all of us.
We're doing this because it's important for our government to find new ways to deliver services to our citizens. And as you've heard me say here in Philadelphia, and I say this all across the country on different visits to other cities, you know that cities are the incubators of innovation.
But what was particularly interesting was that the mayor really understood that in today's world that you couldn't have one population connected and another population not. You can't even get a job today without it.
It's not just about tech people improving their own lives, but making the lives of Philadelphia, which is, you know, an old city that is suffering from a lot of economic inequality. You know, I hope that, you know, a lot more people can benefit from the work of people that do stuff here.